Hello there. This week's chapter is on fundamentals of microbial growth. Henceforth, my presentation on microbial growth on crops. Humans, animals, plants fall under eukaryotes. All of us can be affected by pathogens, fungi, and other diseases. Humans have created pasteurization and various food safety measures to prevent food spoilage and limit food-borne illnesses. We have also created fertilizer and pesticide, but these have become a problem. The reason that this article was written to show the problems with fertilizer and pesticide and to also give a new solution. I feel like it's somewhat known that people know that pesticides isn't the best thing in the world, but so isn't fertilizer. It's harmful for the environment and animals. It's not like you can put a full halt to it. Farmer has to feed a growing population. To its credit, fertilizer's goal is to promote microbial growth against pathogenic bacteria. Proper use is important. If fertilizer gets into the water, water already has microorganisms. The addition of fertilizer supercharges the microorganism growth in the river. This occurs naturally, which is why sometimes you may see a healthy amount of grain in the water, but the addition of fertilizer leads to these types of damages, followed up with these types of damages. Just like a human to a body, a person to a farm, when misusing antibiotics for something it's not meant for is not good. When using synthetic pesticide for a field, for a crop that's not meant for it, can be costly and disastrous. In the article, it also mentioned how much pesticide and fertilizer the carbon footprint is worldwide, and it's roughly like 1.2%. Important terms, VOCs and mVOCs. Now, before I go and say how amazing and spectacular VOCs and mVOCs are, I first have to say, when doing outside research other than my article, it apparently said how VOCs are harmful. They can cause irritation to the nose, eyes, and throat, and they can cause organ damage to the liver and kidneys. This is a different type of VOC that's from everyday cleaning products that shares the same name as volatile organic compound, completely unrelated to what I'm talking about. So if you ever do your own research, just make sure to write VOCs for plants. Volatile organic compound is a naturally produced compound that is found in plants and in the soil. VOCs has a wide use cases in communication, defense, stress response, and reproduction. Defense response against threats, signaling nearby plants and warning them from danger. VOCs attract pollinators. They also alert stressful conditions such as heat or lack of water. In my research paper, they called it beneficial micro-volatile organic compound. Well, for the sake of my analogy, I'm going to call it modified volatile organic compound. Just like how you modify a car with better wheels, better engine, better who knows what, the scientists were creating a new alternative solution to chemicals through the addition of antigenic beneficial microbes mixed in with VOC soil already in the field. mVOC has added special soil microorganisms that have evolved to compete with close-by pathogens and aid with growth. If you're wondering, hey, mVOC kind of sounds like pesticide and fertilizer, well, you'll be wrong and you'll be right. For pesticide, we're essentially taking that away since the microorganism in the special soil is competing against the other pathogens that are in the soil as well. The pathogen can't touch the plant if it's too busy fighting off the special microorganisms. For fertilizer, yes, mVOC is a type of fertilizer. Haha, you caught me. As there is natural fertilizer and unnatural fertilizer, mVOC would fall into the category of natural fertilizer. And what makes mVOC special is that it's constant. That's what makes mVOCs amazing. It's using VOCs, which is constantly doing its job. And since it has special microorganisms that's fighting the pathogens in the soil, the plant no longer has to worry about that. And a beneficial from this is that it aids in growth. Does this mean you never have to introduce it again to the field? No. Now to recap my article, worldwide crop systems under stress, pesticide and fertilizer not being the best solution. I decided to share one of the first uses of mVOCs by Sherifi and Rayalu and their colleagues. The plant that they decided to grow is called Arabidopsis thaliana. They use the seedlings to put into their mVOC soil. But like we discussed in the previous slides, there are microbes in the mVOC. This being Bacillus subtilis, a plant absorption efficiency agent to suppress disease-causing pathogens. This showed a wider surface area for the leaf, 1.5-fold increase, about 150% bigger, although it did have a slight reduction in weight. When adding trichoderma, a biocontrol agent used for soil-borne diseases, a observation was made that the roots was significantly longer before being 50 which means micrometers, and after mVOC it was about 175 micrometers. In my research paper, it explained that this was done in a petri dish. That's a little hard to see how they did that, but later it was in a controlled environment, in a lab. Then if it reached the final stages, it entered a field application. Here are some other crops that were studied in my article. Some did not make this presentation, mostly because if I attempted to summarize what I just read, I would not have a very happy ending. Now, the one that we just discussed, Thalina seedlings, it reduced Erwina carnitivora, a soft rotting causing bacteria pathogen. During a field test on corn, there was a less amount of leaf blight. This is caused by Cetiospira turquia, type of fungus that damages the corn's leaf from a healthy green to a yellow. This affects the quality of the corn and feed value. Looking at the one on the bottom, mVOCs can also display inhibitory activity in the case of Clavibacter, the causal agent bacteria ring rot of potatoes. The higher amount of Bacillus subtilis as a result of mVOCs led to a significantly inhibitory of the pathogen. Now, one thing I really want to drive home is relevancy. The major point of this study is to limit not so positive microbial growth when growing crops to prevent high number of food spoilage and also the rising cost of food, which I'm pretty sure affects everyone. But to also understand the insights of overall health and benefit. In the last 5 years, there's been this huge push that microbes are bad. There's germs on our hands, face, our surfaces, everywhere and everything. And that's true. Far from a farm and into a healthcare environment, the level of cleanliness is held to the highest standard. And knowing about microbial growth, not only in the sense of how to destroy it, but also how to take advantage of it and for it to be beneficial and not a destruction in the mindsets of the people. These are some of the reasons why I chose my article. What new technologies and scientific methods are being implemented in the food we eat, and how are microbes being used in the food safety measures to prevent spoilage and limit foodborne illnesses? And as someone that needs food to survive, this paper gave me an insight on how fresh crops are grown. Tell me how I know more about this than this. It's tragic. Also, it was actually nice reading how microbial growth can be beneficial if we use it correctly, instead of the usual we must destroy everything we can't see. And for that, it's a good read. 10 out of 10 recommend. Here are my references. That's bye for me, unless you have any questions.